Hello and good day, everyone. Mark Wolf with emergency reporting here for our special edition of Virtual Thursday 2021, edition number 2. Today, we will be reviewing, getting some resolution and resolving your login and authentication challenges. Couple notes for you today. First of all, again, my name is Mark Wolf, lead international trainer. On board with me today are a few other folks from our training team and our product development teams. James Andrette, regional trainer. Tom Lewis, our brand new enterprise training manager. Greg Simmons, regional trainer. Nate Croy, who is our product manager, and also on board with us is Katie Hines, who is our product business analyst. They're all here to answer your questions and help out through the presentation. If you have any questions today, a few notes about that, please put it into the chat. There's a questions chat in your control panel, and our team in the background will be answering those for you with a written answer to your question. When you put those questions in, we will review them, any unanswered questions during the presentation at the end of the presentation. And in addition to that, we'll be sending out a full list of the questions with answers. We hope to get that done no later than noonish tomorrow, and we'll send that to all attendees. Also, we're going to take this video and convert it into short tutorials, and those will be available, and we will have those in the knowledge base as soon as possible. We hope to have that done early tomorrow as well. Again, if you have questions, put them into the chat. Please stay on topic, and we'll get to all of them today. What we're going to be talking about today is a few things to show you a brief agenda. A couple of the items that we're going to be talking about is your current login meets our security rules. What happens when you transition or migrate to the new login page or sign-in page with that? What happens if your login, your username specifically, doesn't meet the new security rules? Show you what to do with a user that's been locked out due to inactivity in your account. Trying to update your username and your password is incorrect. We're going to go through that scenario. The actual URLs for the pages that we will use to sign in or log into emergency reporting. If we're going to go through the scenario of what happens if you've forgotten your password, and we're going to go step by step through that process. We're going to show you how that you can change your email address for password reset, and a new and it's not new, but it's a very important facet now. With that, we're going to show you what happens if you have a user in your department that works for multiple departments that use emergency reporting, and using a single login for all of them. You can link multiple ones up to that. And finally, we're going to cover how an administrator adds a new user, or also in one of the scenarios above those, we're going to show you how to re-invite an existing user if they're having problems. And usually the typical problem is that they're trying to reset their password, and that email address for password reset is incorrect. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this. But first, we're going to talk about some training opportunities. Of course, our virtual Thursdays, they're free. We typically hold those on the first Thursday of every month at 1100 hours Pacific time. You can adjust them to your time zone. We are doing some special presentations such as this one. Throughout the year, you'll see those advertised on your homepage. You can arrange for online training. We do provide that in 3-hour blocks. These can be customized to meet your needs in your department. Contact us for more information on those. We do provide on-site training, especially when we don't have any travel restrictions, and also regional training academies. I've got some information on those coming up in just a moment. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel the first 2 regional trainings that we had on the books due to some of the COVID travel restrictions. So the Regional Training Academy scheduled for Jacksonville, Florida in April has been canceled, and the regional training for Austin, Texas in May has been canceled. Stay tuned for more information on that. We are working diligently to provide a replacement for those on an online training academy, and we'll get that word out to you as soon as we get those nailed down. We do have still on the book schedule for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, June 8th through 10th. Charlotte, North Carolina, August 3rd through the 5th. And you can go to this website, emergencyreporting.eventbrite.com, for more information and to sign up for those. You can also find out more information about what's available for training at our emergency reporting website. That URL at the top of the page. Go to the Customer Success and Training and Learning Center, and you can select any of those links on that page for the regional training academies, on-site training, online training, and webinars. Or you can email us at training@emergencyreporting.com. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. So we need to transition to our new website login or sign in page. What I recommend that you do, and I am going to jump in and log into this page for my first example, is what we're requesting you to do is to go, for you as system administrators primarily, go to your admin module. Let me jump into that training account I'm going to show you this in, and we're going to go again to the admin module, and we're going to take a look at our personnel list. I recommend you take a look at this, and for all your personnel on your personnel list, all the way over here on the right is their last login session. And what we're recommending that you do in this case, we've seen that James here hasn't logged into this particular account since December 9th. If you see anybody in your list, if I go down a few here, you'll see one that has last logged in on the 26th of September 2019. Anybody that's not logged in since prior to 12/6/2020, December 6, 2020, they need to migrate. We recommend that they do that process as soon as possible to transition to the new sign-in page. So that's step one that we're going to talk about, is just checking your personnel list, and those people that have not signed in after December 6, 2020, they need to do this migration process that we're going to cover here in just a few moments. So let me go ahead and log out here so we can get to covering the rest of the material here. First of all, this is what we now call the old login page, pre-migration, let's call it. You can see the URL, secure.emergencyreporting.com/login.php. What I ask people to, when you're looking at this page, is the login button red, and does it say login? This is where you're going to start if you need to migrate to the new system. Now, there's two different pathways that you can take. In this first example, we're going to have the pathway that your current login, your current username meets the new security rules. And we'll go through this process to show you, if you're one of these folks, your username meets the criteria, how you transition. So how we would start this is putting in your username in the username field, and then your password down in the password field. And go ahead and select login. Now, in this scenario, you can see your next steps. We have two of them. First of all, is the only thing you need to do in this scenario is reset your password. And then we're going to talk about bookmarking the new ER homepage. And that URL is right at the bottom of this dialog window. So we're going to select go reset your password. And on this particular page, your only action is to reset your password. So I will put this in, and then we have to confirm it. Fairly simple process. Now remember, you've got some password requirements that you can see displayed over here on the right side of the screen. One of the changes that you may see is that the password requirements are at least 8 characters. All the other requirements, like 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase letter, 1 number, and 1 special character, still remain. Previously, you were able to alter the minimum requirements for the number of characters. Now it's hard-coded at 8, and that's what you'll need to have. So after you get your password in and then you confirm it. We select save password, and you will land on the home page or dashboard, which is what we're going to do right now. So on this particular page, and this is an extremely important point, on the computers that you're using, you want to bookmark from this page the URL, and I'm going to highlight it in blue at the top of your page, secure.emergencyreporting.com. You can add this as a new bookmark or go into your list of bookmarks and edit it to this. And it has to be limited to the text you see at the top of the page, secure.emergencyreporting.com. And you'll be fine with that into the future. Now, in the case of some fire departments that have a common computer that multiple users will sit down and access emergency reporting from, just as a reminder, you may need to keep that old bookmark or favorite in so people can perform this migration process and bookmark this new page and label them as such. New ER login, old ER login, and that should help you out quite a bit. So that's our first scenario. Let me go ahead and get logged out from the system. I'm actually going to close this other tab up right now. And we're going to go back, and you see how I have it listed here, old login. The difference with this is you can see the text behind .com is /login.php. This is the old login page, and the login button is red. On the new sign-in page, that button that says sign in is blue in color. Our second scenario is a login username that does not meet the current security requirements. In this particular case, this username includes the @ symbol, and that's one that is not allowed to be used anymore. So this is a facsimile of an email address, and I have a password to put in with that, and we're going to select login. Now we go to this page. Now this is our second pathway, remember. In our next steps, you see we have a third step here. Being my username does not meet the new security requirements for the username, I have to create a new username. I will still create a new password, and also we want to talk about bookmarking that new ER homepage. So in this particular case, I will go to selecting to update my sign-in info. And this is where our email address comes into play here. Everyone has an email address attached to their username for password reset. That's the one you're going to be using here. So I've put that in, and you're going to be selecting to send this code. This is step 1 of 3. Now when that code gets to me via email, and it just may take a second for my computer to see that, which it's already done, we enter that verification code on this page. It's like that, and I can select verify the code. If there's been some kind of issue, I can select send a new code, and it will send me a new code for this verification process. So we've passed that step, and we can update our sign-in information. So I will create a new username and a password associated with that username. And we will create that user identity. Now over here on the right, we've got some username requirements we want to talk about here. Our username cannot contain certain special characters, and you can see leading that row is the @ symbol. So if you're using previously an email address as your username, you will have to change it and go through this process that we're illustrating right now. Also, that username cannot begin with a period. You can use a period in your username, but it cannot be the first character. And in addition to that, you cannot include a space in your username. Password requirements are identical to that, which it illustrates at the bottom of that section. And here we will select create user identity, and when we're successful, we will get logged in, and we will end up on the home page or dashboard. Remember, use this page as your favorite, secure.emergencyreporting.com, or update your previous favorite or bookmark to that text exactly, and you will get to the new sign-in page and not have any issue with that. We're going to go ahead and jump back, transition to our third scenario. In this particular case, we're going to try to log in, and we've forgotten our password. We've migrated in this scenario, so our current username, if we had to change it, you'll use that new username here, but we've forgotten our password. So what do? Well, we have a link available to you right on the sign-in page, forgot password. And one thing that we're seeing now is when we select this, you'll go to this page, and we have to type in our username. And the email address that we're using have attached to that username here. And we're going to send a verification code to that. Actually, I'm going to put this other one in. Pardon me for that. And we're going to send that code to it. And we will be putting that verification code in this particular field. And I should be getting that verification code very, very quickly. And you know what? It would help if I spelled that right. So I'm going to change that, update it, and send a new code. And we should be getting that momentarily. And there we go. We will type that in and select to verify that code. And as you saw, I selected that code twice, or the button anyway, to send it. This proves that the system awareness verification works. And we select this verification code, we enter it, and we continue. And in some cases, you'll end up on this page. And this is telling us, in this case, that we're attempting to change our password before the minimum duration has ended. Now, the minimum duration on that is 24 hours. So if you've changed your password before that minimum duration is ended, you have to wait for 24 hours to do so. Another scenario we have is if we've forgotten our password. Back up a little bit and get that code sent to me. And we'll wait for that, and it'll come here in just a moment, which it's already got here. And we'll verify the code. So the code is correct, and we continue. And what the system is telling us is that our email address does not match the email address associated with your user identity. So I have put in an email address that is not correct. Now, in this particular case, what we would need to do is to try perhaps any other email addresses you might have used to see if we can get lucky and find the correct one out there. You may have used 2 or 3 or 4 email addresses. One of those may be attached to this. So try multiple email addresses if you get this message, and you can try to access the system that way. Now, I'm going to show you after one of our future scenarios here of what is the resolution to this. It can be handled at the local level. So we'll get your admin involved in this after a while, and we'll show you how to do that. And that's later on in our scenarios that we're going to send you. All right, our next scenario, I'm going to cancel this and we are going to go back to our old login page. So let's say we have a user that is trying to migrate and they're doing the right steps, they're on the right page, and they put in their username and the correct password. And select login, and they get this message, account locked. Your account has been temporarily locked. Please contact your local agency administrator to unlock your account. So if you see this message, what you need to do is talk to your local system administrator and have them perform this action. I'm going to go into this particular account and we will go through the steps of what they need to do to help you out here. And we'll get back to the login page. So here's what the steps your system administrator has to take. We'll try this one more time. We might need Nate's expertise on this here in a moment. We call those demo demons. We are going to select the particular account I need to look at. And when we get to the home page or dashboard, your system administrator will need to go to the administration module and then to the personnel list. Find you on the personnel list and access your record. And the next thing that they need to do is go to the security tab, and you can see at this top section, the status of this user is locked due to inactivity. So you've exceeded the time frame established in a particular account, and it can be established from 1 month to 12 months. If you don't access the account in that time frame, you're going to get locked out. Your system administrator will then select to unlock that user. And we're going to save this page just to make sure. And now, if I go back to the login page, I should be able to go through that process of, in this particular case, I have to create a new username, password, and then if you haven't done this migration process, bookmark that new ER homepage. I'm not going to go through the full verification process. However, this is the same steps that we would do before. You will put your email address in for a password reset. You will get an email with a code in it. Enter that code, and then you'll be able to successfully migrate and access into your account. So let's jump on to the next scenario. And we will go back to the old login page. What we're going to do is take a user that has migrated to the new site and try to access the site from the old login page to demo what happens then. In this particular case, I'm on the old login page illustrated by the red login button and the / login.php at the top of the page. And when we select to log in, so it's telling me a couple things down here. First of all, it could be telling me that I did not type in my username or password correctly. Try again. Now, if you've already migrated, but you did not save the new bookmark from the home page, you're trying to sign in on the old login page, you need to go to the new sign in page, select that link there, and on this page, we'll be able to successfully log in. as we're illustrating here. And actually the same can be said for a user that has not migrated. If they try to log in on the new login page, but they haven't successfully migrated, they will be redirected to go back to the old login page. We'll attempt to give you an illustration of that. And we'll put our password in. And in this particular case, this is the sign-in error. It's telling us that we either have an incorrect username or password. If you're sure you put it in correctly, maybe you're on the wrong login page. And what you would need to do is to perform this migration process is to sign in to the old sign-in page and follow the steps. And when you successfully get that password in, username, you will go through that process of creating a new username, creating a new password, and then we want you to bookmark that new ER homepage. So that scenario would be in the event that you're trying to sign in on the new sign-in page when you haven't migrated from the old one to the new one. And we want you to, just to make it clear, is the URL at the top of the page is what we need to talk about here. The old login, what we're calling the old login, is secure.emergencyreporting.com/login.php. And the new URL that you want to have bookmarked is secure.emergencyreporting.com only. This extra text that you're seeing right here is added to that URL when you go to it from that particular bookmark. So again, we can go into this bookmark and edit it, and we want to make sure that this text is in the URL for that bookmark or favorite, secure.emergencyreporting.com. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get logged in here. And we're going to update in the event that you desire or need to update your email address for password reset. We're going to show you where to do that at. And we have a place for you. I'm going to go ahead and get logged in here. After we successfully log in, and we are needing to update our email address for password reset. A user can do this, and it's important to know that at the admin level, the admins cannot reset this email address for your password reset. You have to do it. You need to go to the My Profile module. When you select My Profile, you will see several features that you have towards the bottom of the list over on the left side. First of all, changing your password. You can change it here when necessary or you desire to. And you can change your email for password reset on this page. So we'll select that particular section. And we're going to have to go ahead and log in again or provide our credentials. And select continue. So this is changing your email address for password reset. And we're going to send that verification code. And we're going to take this Microsoft Outlook, move it over to my other screen here. Like I said, we're going to move that over here. And we're going to go get that verification code that's being sent to the new email address. And we're going to enter it here. And select to verify that code. And when it gets verified, we are going to save that new email address. And in that particular case, we have updated that using the change email for password reset in the My Profile module. Another feature that we have that's brand new with this is that you can change your username if you need to or desire to. So you can select that particular button. And again, you're going to have to confirm your user identity. Select continue. Make sure that I have a correct password in here. And I may have, let me change this character right here. I may have entered the wrong username in. Now we can create that new username. It's going to be different than with the one we had in before. Remember, our username requirements do apply to this. And we'll continue that. And in this particular case, I have updated my username. In this particular case, what I need to do is to remember that. I recommend you use a password logger that you can store that data in, that also is password protected, so no one else can get into your data that way. All right, now we're going to show you what you can do if you have access to multiple emergency reporting accounts. Now, what we want you to do is first to migrate to the new sign-in page for one of those departments. Let's say you are a member of 2 departments and you need to have access to both of them. You can do that with one set of sign-in credentials, one username and one password. So what we're going to do is go ahead, and I am going to log in to another account that I have access to. And we're going to go into this particular account. And we are going to go into the administration module. So this is what you'll have to provide to the other department, is to have them put you in the personnel list. We're going to add a person here. Any required information on this page we will fill in, and we're going to shortcut this and not fill in all the information in the middle, but we're adding a user. So this would be for your 2nd fire department or 3rd or 4th. And yes, we do have people that do that. They will grant you access into the system, and they will send you an access invitation. Remember the right email address. And they want to leave this box checked right here to save this email address to the contact info tab, an extra little feature we've given you. So when they send this invitation out, there's an extremely important process that you need to do. So we've got this sent out, and I will put in a enroll in permission. So we've created that user, and we're going to go ahead and get logged out. And then in my email that I'm going to receive my access request you're going to get that invitation to join another department. Accept invitation. When you select that, and I'll drag this over here, it's a very important step. So when you accept this invitation, it's going to direct you to create a new username, password, and confirm that password. To link the departments, what you'll do is slide down to the bottom of this page. You'll see this link, sign in, if you already have access to emergency reporting. So when I sign in here, what I'm going to do is put my other credentials in that have already established. And my password associated with that username, and select sign in. And you will end up on the home page of the second department's account right here. This is an illustration. Now, how do we switch accounts? Well, there's a couple ways we can do this. We can simply log out of this page, which I'll show you in just a moment, or we can go to my profile, and you'll notice up the top of this page, department access, that's a new, and any account that you use these same credentials for will be in this list here, and we can switch back and forth to those departments through the My Profile module. So I went to the this additional account here, and I will show you that I can jump back into that other account with just a few mouse clicks with one set of credentials, and we're going to go into that department, and there we are again, back in the second fire department's account. I'm also going to log out to show you what happens since you've linked multiple accounts together and you log in, what you'll see. And when we sign in and we have linked accounts, you'll see you'll have a list here of those accounts, and you can select the appropriate one, and then you will go into it. And again, remember that you can switch back and forth between those accounts by going to the My Profile module. And thanks, Nate, for getting us through that process. This was a common ask for many, many years of users that would actually work for 2 to 3 fire departments, and there's a number of you out there. Okay, the last couple items that we're going to do is to show you, and we've already covered this once, but we'll show you again, how an administrator adds a new user to the account. This process has changed a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get logged in. And we will go a little bit of demo demons going on here again. Go grab my password. And we'll go to this particular account and show you, as an administrator, to add a new user, the process has changed. We will navigate to the administration module, and of course go to the personnel list. This step is fairly routine for you. Add person, the link at the top of the page, upper left-hand corner, and we come to the personal info tab. And we enter the minimum requirements, and this time is their first name, last name, and perhaps a couple pay grades down here at the bottom of the page. And save this page. This is where the process is going to change a little bit, because when you go to the security tab with a brand new user and you select to grant them access, so you'll select a radio button adjacent to has access, we send out access invitations. An administrator cannot set up a username or identity or a password for a user anymore. A distinctly different process than we used before. Now, before I send this access invitation, I am going to select a security roles and permission to assign to them. Save the page. Now I will send that access invitation out. Confirm the email address. Remember, we want to save this email address to the contact info tab. Now this email address we're setting for, this is what we're setting for password reset. Cannot be viewed after we send this email out. It may not be the same email address in the contact info tab, although we can save it there. So now when you get an email or an access invitation sent you to that email address, for everybody in our commercial accounts and in our Canadian accounts, you have a week to respond back to that. If this happens to be an ultra secure account, that invitation lasts for 24 hours only, so they need to get right on that. So when you get your email to that email address, which I'm very, very certain I already have it here, so let me go ahead and log out of this page, and we'll go over to page. When we get that invitation, there's a blue button right in the middle of it. We can accept that invitation. Now, when we do so, we'll drag my other screen over here. This is where the user is in total control of their username and their password. This has been taken out of the hands of the administrator, so you do not have to worry about that anymore. The user needs to make sure they have this information available to them. This email address, their username, and their password. Once we create that user identity, then they will be able to log in, just like we've done right here. So let me go ahead and log out here. One more scenario to go over. And we're going to go ahead and get logged in again to at the admin level. Now this scenario is if I have multiple members of my fire department that I'm adding. Let's say we did some recruitment and we need to add several members at one time. We do have a bulk invitation process that I'm going to show you right now. So after we set up our personnel for a new user, we want to make sure, I'm just going to pick on one of these records here. We get the information put on their personal info tab, and we go to the security tab. We have to grant them access, and we have to assign them to a role and permission. And we will save this page. Now, the next thing that we'll do in this particular case is go to the contact info, because we need to send an email out for them. I've got a email address in here already. You will enter that in on this particular page and make sure the page saves. And we're going to go back out to the list, because at this state right here, when we're looking at the personnel grid, you'll note that we have a new link at the top of the page here, and is the ability to run a bulk invitation for personnel. As long as you have this set up correctly and you have an email address in for them, you can see that we can select them as appropriate. Over in the category, we can select all personnel, or we can just select the ones that we want to send this to, such as that. When we scroll down here to the bottom of the page, we can see who we're sending invitations to, and we send them out in a bulk fashion, and all of those 6 individuals just received an access invitation, and they will follow through with that process of creating their own username and their password. And that concludes all of the demonstrations today. So what I'm going to do now is open it up to my coworkers out there if they want to review any of the important questions that have come in with everybody as of right now. So how's it going, guys?
Mark, it's Tom. We're tackling through these questions pretty good. I think if Michael B could just kind of clarify his question, and then we'll we'll look at, I'll probably have Nate look at Jay Wood's question about the browser, potential browser issue, and getting access, because they moved to Edge and then it worked, and others were having the same issue with Chrome. So that's probably a more technical question for someone like Nate. And again, if we don't have an answer to your questions during this session, I know last time Mark and James and the team, they would send out back to all the participants via email, and we'll remove your last name and email address, of course, from it, but all the questions and answers that you can then peruse to see if, one, your question's answered, and then perhaps if your agency has some of the similar questions being asked today, you'll have some responses to those. And then one thing I want to emphasize to the participants today, if you joined us because you have a pending support ticket regarding the login and the user identity issue, please respond back to that ticket saying, hey, this virtual Thursday solved my problem, thank you. Or if it didn't, we're going to still work through resolving it for you. But what we're hoping to do is, knowing that we have a significant number of tickets in the queue regarding the transition to this new login and user identity security process, we want to be able to address as many of those pending tickets that are out there now, so that our support team can feel like we're getting some closure. So please, in the response that you got from our system or from our team, our support team, just send a reply back saying, hey, the virtual Thursday took care of my issue, I'm good to go, and we'd be most grateful for you to do that. That's all I've got.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tom, James, Greg, Nate. I think we have Erin on with us today too. She got in late. And Katie is out there. If you guys have any input now, you can unmute yourself and talk to everybody. And go ahead, Nate.
Everything looking good here, Mark. Just to answer some of those questions alongside Tom and James and others in there. I'm more than willing to follow up some people after the call as well. It seems like Brad had some questions that are very similar. Brad had been working through some issues. Jay might have some similar issues, so maybe we can reach out after the call.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Nate. I saw a couple of questions on here that may be interrelated. And what we're seeing is, in many cases, a department obviously in the past would set up a username with some type of configuration that they like in their department, such as maybe first initial, last name with the account ID or some type of badge number and whatnot. Currently, with the new system, a username will set their own username, and it does have to be unique across the entire platform. So they may get a message if they try to use a username like Joe.Smith or just simply Joe Smith. I'm sure that's already been taken out there, and you will get a message that's already in use. You have to generate one that's unique across the entire platform. That's kind of a common thing. We have literally thousands and thousands of users present and in the past. That username does, again, have to be unique across the entire platform. So you may see that message. And it's also important to note that's out of the control of the local admin. So that's to the user, they generate their own username and their own password at their level. And that's why they need to retain that information so they can successfully log in into the future. Do we have anything else we need to attend to? Anybody?
Hey, maybe we can address this question because it's a good one from Brad about, okay, so if they have and Nate may need to chime in, but I think I know the answer. If they already registered user, can't get the password reset, so we send an invite for them to join again, but we want them to use the same username. Where is the button for them to press once they get the invite to the same username? I don't know if they can use the same username once it's in the system. They may have to use another one, but I'll let Nate confirm that.
Oh, I can confirm it, Tom. They have to use a different and unique username that they had before if they're resetting it.
That's what I thought.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it'll still, even though they can't access anymore, that username is still technically in the database and thus would prevent you from using it again. Right? Isn't that right, Mark?
Very correct.
And you could use the change username flow once you're logged in with that new identity to make a like identity to what you had the first time around if you wanted to. Or username rather.
And then just to verbalize this other question from Michael, when we set up our account initially, we were told we should use our account number as the last 4 digits to make support easier. Do you mean, if you mean for logins, then when the new system, the inability to reset a user to original username, does that no longer matter? I think I understand the question, Michael. So if you're saying you're adding the last 4 digits of your account to the username, you could still do that as long as it meets the other rules for the username. However, that was probably before we had the account ID displayed on the welcome page. So if everybody, when you're in your account, when you go to just to the right of your name, you're going to see account ID : with a multi-digit account ID. So you can still do that per your agency as long as it meets the other rules for the username. You should be okay with that, but it's not necessary. Yeah.
I'm going to, okay, somebody already did. Thank you. Oh, I'm doing it right now. Okay. Out to Brad, that yes, in your question, they have to create a new and unique username. They cannot use what they used previously. They may need to put a special character. A lot of the common things we're seeing now is somebody may put a period in between their name and some type of ID number, badge number that they're attaching to it, something like that, to make it new and unique. But again, if it's already in use in the system, you'll get a message telling you that, and you have to create a new and unique one. And it looks like to me, just scrolling through here, guys, it looks like we have nearly every question answered.
Couple more, just a couple more from one from George and one from Brad just popped up. And before we close, I just want to compliment you, Mark, for the structure of today's presentation and going through each of the scenarios very clearly. And again, we're going to be putting together videos, short videos, chunking these videos for each of those scenarios and getting them out to our knowledge base and our YouTube channel, hopefully within the next 24 to 48 hours, so you can review. But props to Mark for a job well done today, and for everybody else that on the ER team that joined in to help answer questions behind the scene. Great teamwork today.
Okay, I want to mention that Brad put another question in here. Another option to get a password reset if it doesn't work. So in this case, the user does not have the correct email address for password reset. They have to have that. If they don't, here's your option, Brad. And I'll show you on the screen. We're going to go in to the administration module, get the personnel list, and go into that person's record and to the security tab. So they cannot reset their password. They know their username. And in fact, at the admin level, the user identity that I'm displaying on the page right now, that is their username. You can tell them that, so they have that correct. But maybe they do not know their email address for password reset. The resolution for that is to remove the identity and then send them a new access invitation and go through that process. So we can send that email out for the invitation, and once they get that, they will have to create a new username unique in the whole system. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and log out of here so I don't have any conflicts. And I go to my email. I should have received that invitation. Now in that invitation, there's a blue button right in the middle of the email. Accept invitation is what it's labeled. Select it, and you will come up to this page. And you have to create a new and unique username. So in this case, I'm just going to add a 1 to the end of it. Create a password. and create that user identity, and they're going to be able to log into the system now. The key is removing the identity, sending them a new invitation, having them create a new and unique username, associate a password with it, and go ahead and log in. So hopefully that cleared that all up. We kind of call that the nuclear bomb method. I mean, that's the last-ditch effort on your part to get them signed in. And of course, when they get signed in, we want them to always use the new URL that's displayed on the home page to access their account. And it's right up here at the top of the page, as you see right now. Hopefully that answered your question fully, Brad, and everybody else's.
Hey, Mark, let's look at George's question. I just want to make sure I'm in, where he asked that question. Do they have to make a new username or just keep the old one? So if you can't get in with the password reset with the old, you don't know your old username or the old username isn't working, then you will have to create a new one.
That is correct. They will have to create a new and unique username.
However, if they know that their username was, like in your case, George, first and last name, they should try entering that when they go for the password reset, and it should work.
And if they've migrated, remember again, ask a local system admin. They can look up your user identity, also known as username, in your record and on the security tab in the admin module. And at least you'll have that part correct. There's 3 elements to that: username, password, and the email address for password reset. Those are the 3 elements you need to know. And we'll just give this another moment here. We're quickly closing in on the hour mark for the training. And if we don't see a question come in the next moment or two, we're going to go ahead and put this one in the record book. And we thank everybody for attending. And we also thank for all of the folks from our wonderful emergency reporting staff that are on board with us: James, Greg, Tom, Aaron, Katie, and Nate. We've got all the experts online with us today to answer your questions. And again, to wrap a couple things up, all the questions that we've received, we're going to consolidate them. If there's a similar question put in, we'll consolidate those with a written answer, and we're going to email that to all attendees today. And you'll see very soon some short tutorials in the knowledge base and available on our YouTube channel on the different processes in the different sections that I covered today. And I think that is about it. Also, if I didn't mention it before, in the handouts, there was a document in there that you could download that had a summary of all these steps for migrating.
Yeah, Mark, somebody had issues accessing it, so I forgot. I removed it, but then I forgot once the session's in play, you can't load a doc. So we'll email when the guys send out the responses to the questions. We'll have that PDF attached
we'll
also.
Attach it
So
to the email, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Our hopes is to get that done by the close of business tomorrow, and the real hope is before lunchtime here on the East Coast tomorrow.
And please don't forget, if this solved your existing support ticket, let the support team know. We'll be so grateful to you for doing that. And thank you for all your patience as we transition to this new, much more secure and modern security model, essentially, in our system. And again, your patience is appreciated. And I can't say enough, Mark, home run today. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. And thanks everybody else again, from the ER staff to everybody that attended. We're going to go ahead and put this one in the record books. Talk to you next time. Have a good one. Stay safe.